Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another live episode of Veteran Nation. And I'm going to start the show off. I'm going to pull back a little bit of the fourth wall, if you will. TC was forced to eat like he was back in basic training. He had to scarf it all down right before the show. How was it, TC?
It's still there.
Looked good.
It's still there. It is. I made it.
If this is a
So,
fast show, folks, you know why. His dinner's getting cold.
oh no, it'll be good even when it's room temperature. Medium rare. Oh, all 100% keto. Mm. This, however, there might be a little bit of an adult beverage in there. For those of you who are triggered by adult beverages, you need to get different therapy. I'm sorry, that was horrible.
See, it's normally me making the bad jokes. You're stepping up. I'm wearing off on you.
No, no, my bad joke will never rise to your no. Don't make
Well,
me bring Andrea on.
well, I do have some good news as we start off the show. About 20 minutes ago, I got a notification. They have finally passed burn pit legislation through the Senate, and it's going to go to the president now to be signed. So that's going to help a lot of veterans, including myself, who were exposed to toxic materials while overseas. This also will
Wait,
help.
weren't you a commissioned officer at the time?
I was, and I was also the camp safety officer.
So you were the burn pit CO? That
Not the
makes a lot of
CO,
sense.
but I did have to inspect it. In fact, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll send you one of my favorite pictures from Afghanistan. We'll put it up in next week's show because I had to. Wherever you're at in the military, you're going to have a really horrible job somewhere. And when you leave service, that becomes like your badge of honor. And me being safety put me in a lot of really stinky jobs. And when I say
You know
stinky,
what
I
my
mean
you know
literally stinky.
you know what my really horrible job in the military was?
Uh oh, what's that?
I had to hang out around officers.
I, to all those officers out there that had to be around TC, I totally understand. But without further ado, let's go
Yet
ahead.
yet here I am on your show. So
I'm a glutton for punishment. So are you.
and at this
We
point, isn't it?
deserve
It's
each
our
other.
show now, I guess.
It is our show. That's you've already hosted episodes. You can push me off and be like, "No, I got this one." You can look at me and be like, "I'm the captain now."
I'm the captain now.
But let's go ahead and we'll bring our guest in. And this is a special guest for me because this is a Marine who I served with and a Marine who is running for political office and someone who I will absolutely attest to being a phenomenal character. So, ladies and gentlemen, welcome Sam Nashagh.
Afternoon. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming,
Oh,
Sam.
we did. He said good afternoon. What is it? There it's.
It's
Oh, he
well,
must
it's
be in California.
aren't you on the other coast? I'm in Florida. It's nighttime here, but it's bright night.
I'm in
It's
California.
sunny
It's
out.
technically still afternoon here. So it counts, I
Yeah.
think.
Hey, are you guys okay in California? I heard that they declared a state of emergency there over monkeypox.
Monkeypox all
Are you gonna?
over. I am
Are you
marking myself safe
you
from
marking your
monkeypox.
safe? Okay.
Do you need
Well,
me to
this
send you some
is.
masks? I have plenty of masks left over. I can just ship them out there and make sure that you don't
I
get
think now
bogged
is.
down.
I think now is a good time for my new segment. TC's PSA for morons.
Let's hear it.
Public service announcement for all morons. If you don't want to catch monkeypox, stop going to orgies.
We're gonna get hit with community guidelines again. This video's gonna get taken down.
I mean, I'm just saying.
It is a way to avoid it. It's not wrong.
It's not. I care about the people. I want them to be safe. So stop going to orgies, and in particular types of orgies.
I see in our future here in California
Juan is writing something. He's
lots
gonna
of,
fetch it up on the. I can see it. He's already writing.
much like the late
I'm
80s and
getting-
90s, we're gonna have lots of young men in their 30s and 40s dying of pneumonia. It'll be a rampant thing. I can see it already. But that,
Well, hey Sam, thanks for coming on. Now that we've ruined your political career,
I didn't say anything.
he's just laughing at the bad jokes.
There you go. No,
So-
but thanks for having me.
Sam, tell us a little bit about your district, because you're down there in Florida.
I am. It's a district, so we redistrict. Did it? I guess it's a verb. We just had a redistricting, and this district basically absorbed all the Democrats surrounding it to make this a super blue district, and giving us basically 4 or 5 safe red districts around it. So it's a sacrificial district, and does make it easier with a 16-year incumbent whose family name is about 10 years older than that in the town. So it's a very
so you
tough
said,
place
"Hey,
to play.
let's run for office."
Yeah, I was like, the Marine in me is like, there's a wall, let me run into it. Maybe I can blow it up on the way. And at some of the events, they have crayons, which is great. So,
I just want it to be noted, I did not make the first crayon joke.
so, but yeah, no, it's a district with an incumbent. Like I said, she's been there for a while. She's had in the 16 years, she has gotten 3 bills passed through the House. 2 of them are renaming a post office. So she's doing a stellar job.
Whoa, wait. She had to pass 2 bills to rename 1 post office?
No, 2 separate post office. Like, give her credit. Like, she was able to rename
right.
2 post offices in her 16 years there, which is pretty impressive. Those are 2 of the 3 bills she sponsored that got passed. So she's a go-getter.
I'm interested now in who she got him named after.
That's immaterial.
Harvey Milk.
Yeah, we had the USS Harvey Milk earlier this year, who was a established pedophile, and yeah, so we have that.
And
in the
if we
Navy now.
weren't flagged, we are now.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Sam's going to have to be the new host because Skipper and I are both going to get fired.
The dude was 40 years old in a relationship with a 16-year-old boy. I don't think I'm out of the bounds saying that.
Hey, age of consent was 16.
There you go.
In the year of Me Too,
Yeah, there you go.
or the age of Me Too, I should say.
Yeah, me too. Exactly. Didn't work for Kevin Spacey. Yeah, I think it was last name.
Nobody was good friends with Dianne Feinstein and also with Jim Jones, the cult leader.
Okay. Speaking of Kool-Aid,
So now you're running against Kathy Castro, correct?
I am. Yep, she's the one. She's
That should tell you something.
yeah. I don't want to say much, but yeah, she's a nice lady. I met her, and I'm sincere. She's a pleasant lady to meet and shake a hand, and I'll give her that. I disagree with her basically 97% of the time because she basically votes exactly the way Pelosi wants her to. For the past, I think she has a 93 or 97% concurrence rating with Pelosi's voting. So, wrong Bay to represent. We're Tampa Bay. She votes like San Francisco Bay. Kind of should shift that. It's a different world, different demographic, different everything.
Well, maybe, maybe her supporter will decide to stay behind in Taiwan and help fight off the Chinese invasion, and you won't have to worry about it anymore.
Yeah, there you go. She's actually, so it's a very interesting race right now. There's 3 of us in the race. My disclaimer is I filled out my paperwork properly, so I'm not one of those 3. That the other 2 I'm going to talk about. One of them was kicked off the ballot the second week of qualifying because they filled out the wrong paperwork. So he sued the state and got put back on, blaming the state for the fact that he filled out the wrong paperwork. And a judge said, well, it was close enough, so let him back on. We'd prefer not to have another competitor, but it's probably the right thing to do, although it doesn't set a real strong level of
Just out of curiosity, who is this individual, and what party is he affiliated with?
He's another Republican. This is for the Republican primary, so both of the other 2 are Republicans.
So this is the primary we're dealing. Oh, okay.
Yes.
And if I remember correctly,
so
he is not a veteran, but he's a federal contractor, correct?
So that's the other gentleman.
Oh,
this gentleman, the one who was kicked off and was put back on, is a local. He runs a PR firm locally, and he.
Well, that builds confidence.
Yes. So, but he was in the Coast Guard for 4 years. So he went to Iraq for a couple months. So he's got. Like all 3 of us are veterans, so we can't bash each other on any of that. And then, I mean, but anyway, and then a third gentleman, he's the one who ran a firm. He ran some defense firms. He was actually Green Beret for about 30 years, 28, 30 years. Got out as a master sergeant and started a defense contracting company, and sold his company a couple years ago. And he's self-financing. He was determined disqualified on Friday by the courts, but it's still litigation's still going on because it's in the field, and so we'll see what happens with that.
What did they DQ him on?
His paperwork as well. His paperwork wasn't notarized properly, so the other person filled out the wrong paperwork.
How do you screw up a notary?
It's a long story.
But no, it's not. It's not. It's like they take a class. It's a stamp. It's not hard.
I think
I can walk into my bank and get a notary from a clerk. I don't understand how it.
I think this really bodes well for you.
They got the Air Force in charge of notary down there.
I think this bodes well for you, Sam.
That's the thing is, you could say that, Skipper, but the reality is it's Congress. So maybe screwing up makes you more qualified for Congress. Or maybe that's the test. Maybe if I did it right the first time, they're like, you don't belong in D.C. So we'll see.
I think I've just been replaced as co-host.
But no, it's an interesting race. Like, and one of the 2 is being a gentleman about the race. The other one a little less so. You guys can do Google, figure out who is who. I'm not going to talk bad about anyone.
Yeah.
Because Reagan said not to. That's a 11th commandment. So won't be talking bad about it.
Oh, you won't. You would not want to watch my channel then.
Oh, I can watch it. It's not going to come from my mouth. And I can have opinions, but in public they'll remain calm. And Mitt Romney's on the show either, so we're good. I don't have to say anything about him. Anyway, so the race is going decently well. It's up and down. I got off to a slow start. I jumped in basically the last day of qualifying, so I've only been at this for 6 weeks, and I think I'm doing pretty well with that, getting name recognition. James Judge, one of the gentlemen, he's been at this since November, so he's got a rolling start on it. And then the guy's a defense contractor. He's self-funding, has a couple $1 million to give to the campaign, so he's able to build up a little quickly. But all 3 of us doing pretty decent, depending upon where you go. Each of us is stronger in a different area, so it's hard to see who would win.
There's a lot of undecideds I saw in the polling, and you were polling.
No, and the I don't know how much stake to give that poll or how much trust to put into that poll.
I thought it was good because for someone who jumped in kind of at the end of the period to jump in, you were pulling well above, what someone who you wouldn't think would have a lot of name recognition. Like you were up there, so you were siphoning off some pretty good votes, but there's a lot of undecideds out there.
Yeah, it was greater than 60% undecided in that vote. But we also don't know. It was a text poll. We don't know what their response rate was, what the demographics were, how many people it was, what the sample size was. They were like, we literally know nothing about it except what they chose to release to put them in a better light. Or maybe it's the best light, or maybe it's not the best light. I mean, we don't know.
So
I mean, it could have, the data could be there that like makes them even stronger than it appeared, or it could be worthless data, and we don't know either way.
So I'm gonna, since you're running for office, how many years? This is a preemptive question. How many years were you in the Marines?
28 and counting. So 17 active, 11 reserve, and I'm still a reservist now. So I started off enlisted, was a tank mechanic, got to work on tanks, turn wrenches. That was pretty cool. See how quickly I can change an engine, a power plant from a M1A1. Then I finished college, got commissioned, became a helicopter pilot, got to go to Iraq and Afghanistan flying, which was awesome. Both of them good for different reasons. My third deployment was back to Iraq with a ground tour as a forward air controller FAC, as we call it in the Marines, or JTAC, equivalent as we call it in the Air Force and Army. That was a good tour. I was with First Battalion, First Marines in the Fallujah, Karma area, and Abu Ghraib area, actually. And then came back, hung out at CENTCOM for a little while, and then hung out at MARCENT, got a little bit of Marine Central Command for those. That's where I worked with Skipper over in the UAE. I was a liaison officer to the U.S. from Marine Central Command at that embassy.
So Skipper was actually in the Marines, because there are people out there who say he lies about that.
Oh no, he was there. Well, he was showing up to the embassy in a uniform all the time. So I mean, if he wasn't,
all right, we'll have to.
He's a pretty
like,
good.
Nobody fakes. Nobody willingly fakes being a Marine. So
especially not for a desk job. Like when we sit in front of the computer.
Well, he just especially not for a desk job. Wow,
you might fake.
I thought it was a great tour. I enjoyed every second of it. Because I mean, Sam, come on, we were essentially in paradise, right?
Oh, it was the best. It was like probably the 53rd, 54th best deal in the Marine Corps. Like it's a good gig. And I only say that because some of the enlisted guys who are working under Skipper had a better deal because it was the same benefits but with zero stress. So their day was 3 hours shorter and there was no stress, and they got the same benefits. So might have been a better gig, but they probably had like the top 25.
No. Enlisted people do not have no stress or less stress. That is a commissioned officer myth. You guys don't have the stress. No, that is, look, you got the NCOs over here on this hill, and you got the officers over here on this hill, and crap runs downhill. Okay.
So where are the warrant officers?
The warrant officers are over there trying to hold it back. They're over there trying to hold it back. That's why the non-coms and the enlisted guys like the warrant officers, because they're like, hey, we're not officers. We're warrant. We're the nice guys. So you spent some time clearly deployed in America's war on terror, and it's kind of a given that the idea of being a Republican is to be pro-military, and to be pro-military is to back every engagement that the United States decides to send American troops into. And it's honestly, and we know this, that there's this idea that hawkishness is a kind of a Republican mentality. And interventionism is kind of this thing that Republicans are supposed to be behind. That's changing. There are very conservative Republican types who are veterans of the war on terror, as it's euphemistically known, who are coming back and saying it's time to end these conflicts. It's time to bring our boys and our girls home. It's time for it to stop. and they are gaining a lot of ground and a lot of traction. And like one of those movements is defend the guard, and that is a very conservative movement, which says you don't get to send National Guard troops or reserve or National Guard especially. You don't get to send National Guard troops overseas to any conflict anymore without a declaration of war. And the military is responding to that by sending generals and other flag officers out to state legislatures to contradict that and say, look, if you don't, if you pass this legislation in your state, you're going to lose funding for your National Guard and so on. As a veteran of war zones, I can't imagine that you don't have some opinions. And I want to, and Skipper and everybody else knows me, I back our veterans 100%, but sometimes that means taking some pretty hard positions on conflicts and future conflict. How do you see yourself proceeding when you're running against somebody who's a federal contractor or former federal contractor in a primary, and if you win the primary or when you win the primary, running against the left, which has become incredibly hawkish. I mean, they're about chomping at the bit to put troops on the ground in the Ukraine right now.
Yeah, I think that's those are all good points, and I am not.
I appreciate that. I don't hear it very often.
Well, I heard your record. I don't think you say it very often. No, I had to start somewhere. You're basking officers for how to come back at you. But no, I agree. Like obviously Biden completely fucked up screwed up how we got out of Afghanistan. But we probably shouldn't have been there for a couple of decades to begin with. I am huge on precision strikes. I'm huge on proxy. War by proxy, war by surrogate. Like arm the other people to get rid of the bad guys. There's not a need for us to do. There's not a need for the money, the stress, the suicide rate that comes back, the burn pit, and other things that we have. All these issues that come from these long wars without a point shouldn't be there. I think I'm not a very violent person, which is interesting for someone in the military. But had I ever been in a room with Donald Rumsfeld at the same time, I would have punched a 73-year-old butt in the face and gone to jail for it, just because he had it wrong. He had it so wrong, and he had it wrong. And he was there with that. He was there with in Vietnam. He understood what was wrong. He was in the White House and in the DOD then. He understood everything that was going wrong, and he continued to do that. So I'm not against being involved in outside skirmishes and wars, and I'm not against intervention. I'm not even against imperialism. I think there's a benefit to that at some point, but I'm against going in to fight a war where you don't kill people. We go there, and my take on it is, if you're going to go to war, it has to be violent. People are going to die. That's what war is, and then get out of the way. And if you're going to go nation build, you get a robust State Department and other people and NGOs, and you go nation build. You don't send military to nation build. And I mean, if we did it, if we went in there, we destroyed things, killed the bad guys, and pulled back, there's not an appetite for that, or there wasn't. But the appetite for 20-year wars is probably less than a 6-month very bloody war that ends. So I think the declaration is good. I think, and I don't want to show any ignorance because I only read a little bit about it, but like the state guards that are not National Guards, I think Florida just restood up ours. State payroll, state authorities, not the National Guard, and that allows us to protect our states without having to rely on the catch-all of the federal government. Granted, the federal government gives us money for the National Guard, but this is a different way to deal with that, and I think that's a big deal. And I was going to look into that more. So a few people have recently been telling me about that and what the benefit of that is. So that's a way to circumvent a robust National Guard that gets sucked into these wars, and people take it at their the legislators, the president, all presidents, Republicans and Democrats, take at their disposal for granted. Like, oh, we can pull this in. We've got these people. Or If you're Rumsfeld, it doesn't matter what you have. You just go to the Worth, whatever you have, and not what you need or what should be done or what's in the plan or what you have funds for or what you have supplies for. And then when you have those supplies, you just leave them in Afghanistan. But I divert.
Now, I have a question for you, Sam. You and I, we both worked at an embassy. Uh, so that means we have experience in a diplomatic field. Do you think, because with you and your opponents, everyone's got military experience. Do you think your diplomatic experience, or I would say exposure, makes you even more qualified for Congress?
Absolutely. I mean, if you didn't say it, I was going to. But I think having an understanding of that, so not look at everything from DC's word, the hawkish kind of viewpoint, is important to understand the opportunities that the State Department can provide. We, as a party, I'm running as a Republican, obviously. We as a party have been bad at supporting the State Department, mostly because the culture in the State Department has shifted to a very liberal, Democrat favoring culture. However, the tools of the State Department and what they can do can help us. I mean, when we get a good Secretary of State like Trump had for a while, you get somebody like that can go around the world and make a difference. It'd be good to have a support staff behind him that can carry out those plans and go through. And granted, every 4 or 8 years, their guidance is changing, and I think even within that, you see, I think even the ambassadors that were there, an ambassador that was there while we overlapped, but the multiple ambassadors that were there while I was there, you can see a shift in, maybe not a shift, a slight divergence from where, and I use that word twice today now, where they personal feelings probably lied and what they were kind of being told to do, even if they had a Democrat president at the time. So, being Obama, and
I think we felt that. I think it
that's
was hard for us to do our job because of the lack of communication from the Obama administration.
Yeah, I think they kept everything as inaction, and then we had weak leadership. For instance, our current Secretary of Defense, who was the CENTCOM commander at the time, who fell into a whole I won't do anything to get anything done because that'll get me promoted, and it worked for his entire career. He's never really made a decision in his life, and skirted that it wasn't his decision to pull out of Iraq, or Afghanistan rather. He's a decisionless general, and now he's a decisionless Secretary of Defense. I can't say that 1 week in a month. I have to be nice to him, but in the meantime, I can absolutely say that he's a worthless human being. Worth a lot to the Biden administration, worthless to us as civilians or military members.
Now, your district, this is a little bit of a weird question. Is Pinellas County or any of it included in your district?
Yes. Yeah, it's a very strange shaped district. It's almost shaped like if you took the state of Texas and superimposed it on the water bay of Tampa Bay, and then whatever land fell on that is kind of what it looks like. So it's the northwest side of the north part of the county, but not the east side of that same area. It includes South St. Petersburg, but not all the way to the coast. So it includes the west coast of St. Petersburg. So geographically, if everyone's thinking it's like an upside down W, we've got like a double peninsula. So it includes that.
So the Mer people will be able to vote for you.
They will. So okay. The Mermans. It was a Merman, Dad, and then Mermans. They're definitely full votes. And if anybody moved down from Chicago, their dogs get 2 votes now. So it works out really well.
So dogs, lizard people.
That must be a pop culture. That must be a pop culture reference that just went.
No, the dogs and dead people voting in Chicago. It's a kind of the way the mayors have been winning for the past 100 years.
We have out here the #1 bumper sticker just says "Go back to L.A." Do you guys have anything similar?
I think I don't know because we're in so much traffic right now. We don't like L.A. No, Tampa's had a massive influx. It's been a top 5 city destinations. It's a little bit before COVID, but once COVID hit, it's been top five consistently for the past 2 years. It's growing every day. Um, um, as long as people don't try to bring like the Portland and politics down here, I think we're going to be okay. I think most of the people coming here are coming down to escape that. As long as they remember that in 2 or 3 election cycles, and they don't start trying to bring us to what they escaped from. Um, and that brings up a thing from so our governor Ron DeSantis obviously bashed a lot by everybody else during COVID for doing things like not mandating masks and not shutting down everything, which turned out.
Which he did do, by the way. He did shut down the state for a few weeks. People forget that.
Yeah, he did, and that was a time when the CDC and the WHO and everybody was telling us that's the way to go, and they convinced Trump, they convinced everybody that that's what we needed, and most human beings were like, well, okay, a couple of weeks, that makes sense. Once the data started showing that wasn't the case, he was like, this is BS. But yeah, at the beginning he did. He did the same thing. I mean, even Newsom, if you remember, Newsom did the same thing, and for a couple of weeks, Newsom and DeSantis were in step, and both of them were saying, hey, Trump's giving us the resources we need. And then there was a divergence where DeSantis realized it was too restrictive, and Newsom realized he wasn't allowed to compliment anybody else because it's bad for his party, and his aunt Pelosi told him he was being bad, so I guess he went back to bashing everybody. And obviously when he runs in 2024, he's going to want to make sure he weakens DeSantis. But yeah, those are the things that I forgot where I was going with the whole thing with
people moving there.
Looking back, yeah, people moving here. And the sad thing is, or the interesting thing is, we're like 32,000 votes away from getting Andrew Gillum, who I don't know if the name is familiar, but he was a Democrat. Yeah, he. You may have seen him with pictures of a overdosed fentanyl male prostitute on the floor of a hotel room when he got arrested, or you may have seen pictures of him going to trial for election campaign fraud. But it's pretty interesting that we're 32,000 votes away from that being our governor, and if he was, how different this state would be. That's the most important thing. Like 32,000 votes, and I'm not a very good.
There's speculation out there. Like if you look at Colorado a few cycles ago, Colorado was a red state a few cycles ago.
Right.
And there is a documentary out there that demonstrates how Colorado didn't just like haphazardly become a blue state. It was a calculated move. They were moving people in from places like Oregon and California. They moved them there. Yeah, this documentary demonstrates how that happened. They moved them there. The same thing is happening in Texas. People are fleeing California, and they're moving into places like Houston and whatnot, and taking over city councils. And
Houston and Austin especially.
Yeah, precisely, and that's the launching point to get these people some name recognition, to get them city councils, mayoral positions, and then get them into the state houses and the state senates to flip those states, because they're doing what paleo conservatives, traditional conservatives are no good at. Which is the grassroots movement of getting people to focus on those local elections, even if it's dog catcher. You find a strong libertarian or a strong Republican to get into these local offices, and we're no good at it because, and no offense to you, Sam, because everybody seems to think, which is just mind-blowing to me, that we seem to think, oh, we got to win the White House. We've got to win the House and the Senate at the federal level. No, that's not where, and like, no offense at all.
No, I get it. I agree.
What matters is what's happening at your city council. Like, I live in a town that's 2,600 people, and my city council wants me to get permission to raise freaking chickens in my backyard. Like, even 2 of them. I got to go get permission. Like, no, we got to fix that.
No, absolutely.
If we fix that...
in Florida, there's a very coordinated effort to address that. There's the governor's been selectively, school board, non-political, right? You're not supposed to be one way or the other. It's a nonpartisan race. But the governor's been going around and endorsing school board candidates because of that same reason. So we can get school boards not filled with people who are, pro-mask lockdown type people whose name gets there, and then just like you said, they build momentum, they build up money, they build up a following, then they're county council or county commission, city council, and push on to it. Exactly that thing. And
the myth of
he's been
nonpartisan is so it's so overdone. It's got to stop. Like, I think we should endorse, and people should get endorsements from whatever party they're most closely aligned with, and just let it be known who they align with. Like, I'm a city council member. I don't have any affiliations. BS.
Yeah.
All you have to do is look at the current trial of someone called Balix Bones or something close to that, and you'll see, yeah, there is no such thing as partiality anymore. The reason why I was asking about
you mean impartiality?
Yeah, impartiality. Sorry. The reason I was asking about your district because I want everyone who's watching to know how important your district is, because MacDill Air Force Base is right there in your district. So that means CENTCOM
is it
located
MacDill
there.
now Space Force Base? Is it?
It's not.
MacDill?
It's not. No.
No.
No. That's Vandenberg and another one in Colorado. But no,
there are two Space Force bases. People laugh at me when I say that, but there are two Space Force bases. It is a thing.
I think is it Edwards, the one that's on? No, not Edwards. The one that's on our other coast, the Cape, like Cape Canaveral. That one will eventually become a Space Force base instead of an Air Force base.
But militarily, your district's important.
Absolutely, yeah. There's a lot of veterans that live in this district. A lot of military. It's very skewed, voter wise, percentage of Republicans and Democrats and non-party affiliated. But there's a lot of independents, and that's a strong. There's as many independents as there are registered in either party. So I think it's there might actually be more independents than there are Republicans within this district, within the District 14. But that's all important because it's both. And the other thing, and it's like politics is local. And it sounds like a cliche. I know it became something that a couple years ago they started saying, but it's the truth. Politics is local, and like TC was mentioning, and the House seat is a local seat too. I mean, it's a federal position. You go to DC, but the jobs that represent the 778,000 people, like right here, it's like less than 1 million people all in one spot. That's who you really represent, and shifting the community. Everybody's within a commute of each other. Like, you can work and live almost anywhere within this district, and it's a reasonable commute sometimes. That's who you're. In this one, it's compact. It's spread out by geographical water, but length, distance-wise, as a bird flies, it's a very compact district. So it is a local race. It's going to impact local policy on a national level, and our county commissioner is definitely going to impact our policy on a local level. And we've been seeing that. It's been interesting. It's an interesting shift. I'm hoping that I've been a registered Republican since 1992, since the month I graduated high school. But
oh my gosh,
convincing people to not just vote R's and D's is hard sometimes, and well, my family was all Democrats, so I was like the Alex Keaton of my family. Compared to, like,
I'm more hurt by the year you threw. Like, I was sitting here hoping that just one other person would have a graduation year. It was like with mine or before mine, but no, you had to.
And 92 is a long time ago. That's like 30 years ago. No, 40, yeah, it's a long time ago. You're old. Is that why you're so grumpy?
Oh, jeez. I'm grumpy because I'm surrounded by officers all the time.
What was the top song in 1992? We're gonna really go to make TC feel old. I'm gonna guess Paula Abdul.
Yeah, she's probably close. Milli Vanilli, I think, was crashing.
Oh no, Milli Vanilli predated.
Yeah,
predated Paula Abdul and Juan, I know we've got some videos.
Oh,
Juan says
it'll just be one
we have
moment.
one
So
moment.
in the meantime, we can talk about music.
So
more.
where can people find you, Sam? Where can people find you?
SamForFlorida.com. Generally speaking,
Any social media that we can dig into and find, like pictures of you doing the Justin Trudeau or anything like that?
I think I'm pretty good at. You can subscribe my social media. It's Sam Nashagh. There's not a lot of Nashags out there. It's me and every other Nashagh
Is that
is
Dutch?
an immediate family member. Yeah, close. No, it's actually it's the H at the end. My dad is from Syria physically, but he's not ethnically Arab. His parents came from the Caucasus region of Russia, and so when Lenin decided to slaughter everybody in that region, they fled, and they went, of course, to the beautiful, lovely Middle East, which is where anybody fleeing a mountainous region would go to. But a lot of them.
We're fleeing persecution. Where should we go? Let's go to the Middle East, where there's persecution.
Yeah. So he ended up in Syria. That the Circassians, the whole group ended up basically spread out between Turkey, Syria, Jordan, and Israel. They're spread out in that region, so mostly coastal, but within the Levant area. So he came over. So his last name was Mamkov, which is a very standard Russian name for that area. And my grandfather couldn't read or write Arabic, so when he was getting everything processed with paperwork, they changed his name from Mamkov to Nashagh. And so we're like, okay, we're Nashagh because it was a lot easier that way. Like an Ellis Island story, but the Syrian version.
The Syrian version of Ellis Island. Ladies and gentlemen, only on Veteran Nation will you ever hear a story like this.
We're learning history.
Yeah. And then he actually came. He actually had to come over to the U.S. because there's a foundation called the Tolstoy Foundation, and they helped displaced persons who were being persecuted by communists in Russia specifically to get into the UK or the U.S. So he came over as a legal immigrant through a process and through an agency, and that's how he got up here. But yeah, that's the name. The name's a total just bastardization of a Russian name, and so it's nothing right now. It's just us. Like, I was the firstborn Nashagh, so everybody else had since then we've had others and marriages and kids and whatever, but I think I was the first person actually born with that name.
Ladies and gentlemen, you don't just get a conversation that runs a lot of gambits about veteran life and military life and politics and worldview and philosophy. You get a background on people. You get background here, and this is why you like us. This is why you tune in.
I'll give you
and if we
TC, I'll give you something interesting here about Sam. Sam, what was your call sign?
Oh no,
Mitts.
TC,
I don't know if I should show. Like, I guess my hands are slightly large, and I haven't grown into them yet. So like a puppy.
When I compared mine to his, it was like this. His hands are huge.
So, here's a standard can of Dr. Pepper.
That is not a standard can. You're so faking. That is not a standard can.
12 ounce. Way to go. 12 ounce. There you go.
Oh my! You have massive hands.
So So
what are you, like 6'12"?
I'm 5'9", but I think one day I'm gonna be like 7'2". As soon as I grow into these puppies, I'm gonna go play. My third career in life is gonna be a pro basketball player. As soon as I get into these hands.
He has no problem palming a basketball, none whatsoever.
He's no problem. But here's the scary part: the entire stadium.
Here's the bad part: when I was in like 9th grade, I was basically the size of 9th grade, so I thought I was gonna be a beast. I was like, I'm gonna be a monster. I have huge hands. I'm almost 5'9". I'm gonna dominate. And then nothing happened after that. I'm like, this guy's I'm just here. I'm just average. with big
You're
hands.
Spud Webb. That's what you're like. You're
There
the
you
white
go.
version of Spud Webb. Big hands and no. Never mind.
Yeah.
Well, hey, so Juan has sadly informed us that we're having tech issues, so there will be no videos tonight. So Skipper has graciously agreed to act out all of the TikTok videos he's watched this week.
I don't think you watch. I don't think you want that because the videos that I watch are normally like
Because,
cute
I
puppy
know
videos.
the videos that you watch.
Or and okay, this is where I'm gonna go to hell. I find myself laughing at videos of children falling down in various situations.
I don't know if that's really a bad thing. I mean, when my son's running towards me, he falls. I kind of laugh. I mean, as long as he's not hurt. I mean, I don't want my son being hurt.
Well,
I love him.
yeah, but your son's like
Still hilarious.
17, so at this point, you should be asking yourself, like, we should be getting him help. So,
Yes, but he's actually 1. But yes, it'd be better if he was 17. I'd have to pull him off.
you have a 1-year-old? You graduated
Yeah, well-
3 years after me, and you have a 1-year-old?
I have a 1-year-old and a 5-year-old. So, it started a little. I had fun before that, though. I wanted to make sure I was done with the travel
No,
and the
stop.
deployment.
You're going to ruin your own campaign without our help. Stop. We don't want to hear about, I had fun before that. Your wife's going
I
to
had
watch
fun,
this
like-
back on playback, and what am I? Cream cheese?
No, she was with me. She was with me. We had fun together. We
Uh-huh.
traveled the world. We built.
Did you
planted
marry a
gardens
Marine?
for people? No,
Oh,
no. She's a teacher. I married a teacher.
So
does
Sam,
she share your
But-
views?
Now she does, most of them. She did it when I met her. She was indoctrinated. She was indoctrinated the way that they're trying to indoctrinate everybody in elementary school now, but she didn't get indoctrinated until for college. And then I came out, and as the serum was wearing off of her, and she started to see the world for what it was, she was able to come to the right side.
he was dropping the red pill in her coke.
Do you want to see what's out there? You're like, the National Teachers Association is
Sam,
not
you got
your
it.
friend.
You have anything to like what's your 30
social
what's
media.
your 30-second
My 30-second
pitch?
speech?
Yeah.
Usually it's about me. No, I'm kidding. My platform is the Constitution. It really is. Like, I'm a constitutionalist through and through, more so than even sometimes if that's not exactly in line with like some parts of the party, it's about the Constitution. So my legislation is going to be basically based on that. Everything I write or anything I vote on is going to be, how does this fit into the Constitution? I don't like spending. I think we spend too much. I think we spend too much on the military, which I'm a beneficiary of. I think we spend too much. We just need to stop spending almost everywhere. Like, everybody needs to tighten up. There's no reason that every year the point is how many more programs can we fund with more money. It's, solutions don't have to be just money. Sometimes the solution's not spending the money. Sometimes, we probably have like 27 different organizations that do the same things, and grants to like 1 billion different nonprofits that all like help 3 people each, but all have a staff of like 27 people, and we're wasting money. So we spend way too much money, even on the right things and the good things that we should be spending money on. We're spending it inefficiently. So that's how I look at it. Term limits. I don't think term limits will ever be passed, but I'm in this for about 6 years, maybe 8, and I'm done. That's if if I get elected and the people want to send me back. That's pretty much my limit. So those are 3 big things. And then on my website it says real, rational results. Those are my 3 R's, because that's what, I'm going to be the same person in any interview. I'm going to be the same person you see. I'm the same person walking my kids as I am in DC, because I'm not trying to buy into a different culture. I'm not trying to become part of the swamp, if we want to use the term, whatever we want to use. I'm not trying to be part of that. That's not who I have to be. I've determined who I am. I'm comfortable with who I am. I don't need to be anything else. So I'm going to be real. And then rational, like, my decisions aren't going to be emotional. They're going to be, hey, what makes sense? What's the right thing to do? What's the, what is the conservative, correct thing that supports the Constitution, and what are, that fits today's
he's gonna be
society
rational.
based on Constitution. Yeah, it's a rare.
He is not going to vote to send American troops overseas for any more expansionism.
Exactly. I don't mind expansionism. I do mind.
No, I was helping you. I was helping
Hey,
you.
I'm good with America, Samoa, and Hawaii and Puerto Rico being part of America. That's all strong. Like that's good. I just don't think that we should be in Iraq and Afghanistan and all those places. Other than just by proxy. And I think that
or Taiwan.
We all want to get behind protecting Ukraine, but we're like, here, let's give Ukraine money. You're the most corrupt country in Europe. Let's give you as much money as we can without any control or
Which,
oversight.
by the way, something for you to keep in mind going forward. 85% of that money that we've sent to the Ukraine has actually gone to the military-industrial complex.
Absolutely, it does.
And not to the Ukraine.
Right.
And
me and Sam both lived that life. We know that when they pass stuff like that, it's only to keep Americans in various parts of the country working.
Yeah. So they're like,
that's a very, very, very politically correct spin on that. to keep Americans working. Like,
it is. It's to prop up the unemployment, or to keep the unemployment rate down. That's 100% what it is.
Yeah.
It's a trick. It's a trick.
And for Hunter Biden, we need to make sure Hunter Biden gets his cut too.
10% to the big guy.
Skipper, what do you need to pitch?
Let's see. I want everyone to know that we do have our Facebook group out there. So join us there, Veteran Nation. We are on Instagram at Vet Nation Show. And if you're on TruthSocial, we're there too at Veteran Nation.
We are on TruthSocial, which I'm not yet, and I'm not on Instagram. I'm on Twitter, and you can't find Skipper on Twitter because his accounts get banned. I don't know what he does, but I'm getting new follows from a guy named Mike Arthur every week. At this point, I just accept anybody. I don't know what he's doing, folks, but he can't keep an account active for more than a week. So he's either saying something right or something wrong. I would send everybody over to my platform to check out the content. Especially, we just released part 3 of the USS Liberty series that we're doing. It is a phenomenal conversation, and it is very important. The next episode, we're gonna take everything that the men that we were talking to. We're going to take that, we're going to tie that all together, and we're going to talk about the symbolism of the USS Liberty and what they did to the USS Liberty and what they have continued to do to Liberty and Liberty survivors, and how that applies to we the people. And it's going to be an uncomfortable conversation, but an encouraging conversation for some of you to really kind of pay attention, because as I was saying earlier, it's almost kind of a given that the conservative Republican position is that we can't ever call out anything that happens, especially if it's at the hands of an ally, allegedly. So make sure you guys are going over there and checking that out. Skipper is working on getting that series up on the Veteran Nation channel on YouTube, as well as other places. And also, Skipper saw this today. There's a video that's now up on my YouTube channel, Minnesota Black Robe Regiment, that shows a woman that's about 5'4", if that, very physically manhandled in a county commission meeting. When the county commissioner chair determined that she was out of line and ordered a very large, burly Sherburne County, Minnesota deputy to remove her, and he did that, precisely that, physically assaulted this woman to move her out of the county commission meeting for daring to talk about, of all things, opening up her 3 minutes of her public comments during the public comment section, talking about the First Amendment and the rights and the liberties of the people to pursue a redress of grievances.
She was then shut down. The most dangerous amendment.
She was then shut down, and law enforcement was weaponized against her.
Yep.
So it's a very short clip. I'm going to be having her on my channel to this just happened this morning, ladies and gentlemen. So I would encourage you to go check this out. This little clip will be enough to whet your appetite to want to see the rest of it. Uh, this is why we swear an oath, and this is why that oath matters so much to those of us who are have separated from the military, retired from the military,
Our oath has no
completed our
expiration.
obligation. Our oath has no expiration, and those of us who served in the military, who have friends and family in law enforcement, or who also served in law enforcement, we need to be reminding them that they take basically the exact same oath that we do. And their duty is to defend the citizenry, not follow the orders of other servants when those orders are countermanding the oath that we took. So go check that out. And if you haven't yet, Skipper, it's been a while. Skipper, it's been a while. You haven't ordered for a while, Skipper. So I'm just waiting.
I will be
Coffee,
ordering
Skipper.
more. I actually did an order with our friends over at Indies Coffee. I bought some of theirs.
I totally acceptable.
So I'm going to be finishing that up, and I'll be ordering more of yours. It's very good coffee, everyone. Highly
You're
suggest-
still supporting Indies Coffee when you order from
Absolutely, yeah. So everyone, yeah, order some coffee.
me.
It's
TC
really
Pearson
good.
at protonmail.com.
But thank you for
Sam,
joining
thanks
us
for
again,
coming
Sam.
on. And
So, yeah, absolutely. I was taking notes. I was like trying to write that down. Like, oh.
We'll get it all to
Skip,
you.
oh, Skipper can, until Skipper gets banned on Twitter, he can communicate that to you again.
There you go. All right, no, thanks for having me on, guys. I do appreciate it, and it was fun. It was fun. I didn't make fun of Skipper enough, though. Next time I'll have to come on.
Next
and
time.
bash Skipper for a
Oh,
while.
we'll
If
fix
that's
that.
okay with you, TC. All right. I just want to make sure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. In fact, if you want, you can come on my show, and we'll just make fun of Skipper the entire time.
All right, there we go. That'll work. Thanks, Mike.
Juan would just come to watch that. Oh, Skipper, take us out of here, Juan. Get ready.
Sam, thank you again for joining us. Always good to talk with you. Miss hanging out with you. And for everyone watching, thank you for joining us, and thank you for being worth serving.